Your plant for now. Many thanks. In other news, a multi-million-pound waste treatment plant at Westbury in Wiltshire has been testing its state-of-the-art equipment today. The brand new site will handle tens of thousands of tonnes of rubbish every year. It's hoped in the long term it'll stop waste going into landfill sites. Well, Laura Jones has been having a look around this morning. We can join her now. Laura.
Hi Amanda. Well yes, technically this is still a construction site, hence my rather attractive clothing here. And this place is actually called a Mechanical Biological Treatment Centre. Now I didn't know what that meant this morning when I got here either, but it's actually a pretty clever place. What will happen once this place is up and running is that all the rubbish you put in your black bin bags in Wiltshire will end up here. As you can see, there's these vents in the big concrete hall floor here. Air will be sucked and pushed underneath there. That'll dry out a lot of the waste once it's been sorted, and it'll end up being made into solid fuel, which can then be burnt in power stations. Now, as you can see, it is a pretty impressive facility. It actually cost about £24 million to build. It's going to end up taking in about 60,000 tonnes of waste a year, and 28,000 tonnes of this solid fuel will be produced each year as well. Well, with me is Toby Sturgis from Wiltshire Council. Toby, this is a pretty impressive place. How important is it?
This is absolutely vital to Wiltshire's waste strategy. We are obliged to reduce our waste going to landfill, and this is one way of doing it. We've already got a contract sending waste to a waste-to-energy plant. This is what you might say phase 2, and it's very exciting that it's coming on stream this year, and it's going to save us over £3 million in landfill tax next year alone, but it also saves enormous amount of tonnage, the 60,000 that's just been said, going into landfill with all the consequences of that, of gas emissions and the costs which are ever rising with the landfill tax.
Well, Toby, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Yeah, lots of facts and figures there. We'll be finding out more this afternoon, and we'll be bringing you more on Points West this evening. Back to you, Amanda.
Thank you. Laura Jones reporting there. Now, for the 5th year running, Malmesbury Abbey is being turned into a skate park. This time-lapse film
for the London Games, during which Team GB won 65 medals, their best performance for more than a century. They say where there's muck, there's brass, and that's a theory they're putting to the test in Wiltshire.
A brand new centre has been built in Westbury to transform our rubbish into fuel. Now, it's about dumping less waste into landfill sites and avoiding the huge costs that involves.
Laura Jones has been along to take a look.
Lots of concrete, stainless steel and high-end technology. It looks futuristic, and that's because it is. Apparently this is the way forward when it comes to getting rid of our rubbish. It's called a Mechanical Biological Treatment Centre. It's a complicated title for a relatively simple concept, turning rubbish into something useful. Of course, the process is anything but simple. It works like this. Bin lorries containing the stuff we throw in our black wheelie bins or bin bags will soon start dumping their rubbish at the plant. It'll then enter a huge sorter which will filter out anything that can be reused or recycled. Then the rest of the stuff gets spread out in here. Huge fans will blow and suck air through vents in the floor, meaning that any foul, rotting rubbish like food waste or even used nappies will dry out, stop giving off dangerous fumes and stop smelling much faster than normal. The remaining dried out rubbish is then chopped up in a huge machine and packaged into enormous bales to be used as fuel at power stations elsewhere in the UK. The reasons behind the plant are clear. The government wants everyone to stop dumping rubbish in landfill sites and has put a huge tax on anyone doing it. At the moment, Wiltshire Council pays contractors £115 per tonne of rubbish that goes to landfill. £64 of that is landfill tax. The savings to be made from sending rubbish here instead are huge.
It was only about 10 years ago we were putting 80% of Wiltshire's waste into landfill. And we're now down to somewhere around 25%, and I expect it to be under 20 by 2020. And I think this is absolutely critical.
The plant will start taking in some waste from next week and will be fully up and running by late autumn. Laura Jones, BBC Points West, Westbury in Wiltshire.